So today I'm going to tell you the good news about Goddess Lilith. I know that may be an interesting statement to some of you. You might be like, wait, what? But I have a reason for saying it like that. And it is good news. My name is QueenAusetHeru, and thank you for joining me for another wonderful edition of Ask an Aquarius. If you haven't already, please hit the red subscribe button and smack the bell. Also, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and pass it on to anyone or everyone who might like it too. Please drop us a positive comment in the comment section. And if you want to get a reading done, please hit me up. I would love to give you your own reading. Okay? All right, so what did I mean by that? All right, so oftentimes people ask me about gods and goddesses. One time I told you the story of Auset, Asar, and Heru, which one of you pointed out to me in the comment section is the story that Disney used for The Lion King. I swear to you, it's the same story. If you look up Auset, Asar, and Heru, it's the same story. Or Isis, Horus, and Osiris. Those are their Egyptian. The Egyptian names are the first names I said. The second names are their Greek names. So Auset, Heru, and what is his name? Asar. That's how you say it. Auset, Asar, Heru. The three of them that would have been what they called themselves in ancient Kemet. And of course, when they met up with other forces, names are changed and things like that. So oftentimes people ask me these types of things about gods, goddesses, mythology, stuff like that. And Goddess Lilith is a really interesting mythology I wanted to tell you about. That's why I said it's good news, because it's an interesting mythology that a lot of people got so wrong to this day. People say things to me about her all the time, and I'm like, And some of you may have seen that recently I did a doll. I found out that Goddess Lilith loves dolls, so I did a doll in her likeness, and I have it here. Beautiful doll, all red outfit, gorgeous. So, what's the big deal about Goddess Lilith? Let me tell you. Lilith was Adam's first wife. Adam and Eve. But even before that, she was present in Sumeria. I think that's funny because I was in a meditation and I was talking to Amen Ra, and Lilith came up for some reason, and he said she never listens. She hasn't listened since Sumeria. And it made me laugh. Sometimes when you're doing a meditation or something like that, or the angels or the spirits may say something, and you'd be like, wait, what? She never did listen. And I'm laughing because I'm like, that's her. That's her spirit. That's how she is. Her spirit is still like that. When I came across her, that's how she was. So anyway, Lilith, according to certain traditions, mostly Jewish, but we're also going to hear about other tradition too, was the first wife of Adam. And I'll tell you what happened, right? Let me tell you the mythology. So if you look at Genesis, there are two creation stories if you take notice. The first creation story says God created man and woman from the soil of the earth in his image and likeness. I'm paraphrasing, but that's basically what it said. The next story says God took a rib from Adam and made Eve. Why are these two stories so different? Because they're talking about two different women. And every mention of Lilith is removed except for, I think, Isaiah. I think Lilith is still in Isaiah, but it's just a mention of her name. So every mention of Lilith was taken out of the Christian, ancient texts, because I don't think they want you to know about Lilith. I don't think so. So I'm going to tell you. Whatever the patriarchy doesn't want you to know, I'm going to tell it. Okay? So anyway, Adam's first wife. So what happened was, like they said in the Bible, God created man and woman, and they were equal, created out of the soil. So what happened was they're skipping around the Garden of Eden. They're naked. They're frolicking, they're eating whatever they want except for from that one tree, as we all know about. And they're having pretty much a good time. But the problem came in, they tell it as sex. They say that Adam wanted to be on top every time, missionary style. And Lilith was like, what? She wanted to be on top. So this is a metaphor to us that are listening to the story of submission. Okay? Lilith wanted to be an equal with her partner, which a lot of us do. Not everybody, but a lot of us. She wanted to be an equal with her partner. And she felt as though because they were both made from the same dirt at the same time that they were equal. Adam had other feelings about this. So Adam decided to try to force her to do what he wanted, control. And this is what a lot of people will do when you won't do what they want, right? So he tried to force her, he tried to control her, and Lilith was like, really? That's what you think is going to happen? And she basically flew away. According to the text, they say she literally flew. She said the name of God, which was like, it's a secret thing, God has his name, secret names, things like that. And if you say the secret name of God, you fly away. So that's what happened. She said God's secret name, she flew away. So in essence, she left her husband. She left him. She divorced him. They weren't really legally married, but she left him. So she leaves him. She's pregnant when she leaves him. And she goes to a cave by the Red Sea, according to legend. And the angels come to her and say, look here, you gotta go home. Quite frankly, And Lilith is like, I ain't going home. And they're like, well, if you don't go home, it's gonna be a problem. And she like, well, then we got a problem. Okay, And I was like, okay, Lilith. So we got a problem then. And she refused to go back. Now, in some tales, they say that, because she wouldn't go back, she was cursed. In some tales, they said that when she left, she went to be the mother of demons. In some tales, they say that she snuck back into the garden and stole some of Adam's love juice to have more babies. Because remember, if it's just him and her, how else is she going to get pregnant? So in some stories, she snuck in there and got some of his love juice to get pregnant again. And this is how some people talk about the tradition of the succubus. And that's why some people say Lilith was the first succubus, because she got his nocturnal emissions while he was sleeping. So that is another story about Lilith. Now, of course, as I'm looking at all these stories and reading through all this stuff and everything like that, and tapping into the spirit of Lilith through meditation and things like that, I'm just like, wow, this is amazing, But the thing about it that I wanted to tell you that they got wrong about Lilith is not evil. She's not, just the mother of demons and this evil person. Lilith is from, and this is just from my energy, my working with her. Lilith is primordial energy. Okay? Lilith is free. She believes in freedom. She's like, I'm like, are you Aquarius? She is so free. Okay? And she's not the kind of spirit that just helps one type of people. Lilith will help anyone. That's why she has the reputation for being the mother of demons, because she'll help anyone. Anyone who comes to her saying something that she believes is just. So you don't have to be a good person or a priestess or a witch or this or that. If Lilith thinks your cause is just, then Lilith will help you. She particularly helps single mothers. That's who she was. She helps women who are being persecuted, women who are criminalized, women who are deemed as whatever bad words you want to call us by the patriarchy. Lilith does not hate men at all. She told me she rather enjoys them, actually. Lilith enjoys sex and sexuality very much. And she told me she doesn't hate men at all. She loves men, but she hates the patriarchy. She hates the control. She hates women being treated differently in sexist ways and things like that. So that's who Lilith really is. And why do we think she's a demon loving hussy? Because when she left her husband, she set it off. She set it off. Patriarchy wasn't trying to hear that. An ancient woman leaving her husband and having children by herself and thriving in a cave by the Red Sea. Are you serious? They never wanted us as women to know you have power. Men, some men, I will say all of them, some men still, the patriarchy still doesn't want you to know that you have power. The patriarchy still wants you to be barefoot and pregnant and silent and abused. They still want that. Maybe not all the patriarchy, but if you look at patriarchy in itself, it's not really designed for women to be leaders, to be successful, to be equal. You're supposed to be down here. That's why in the second story, Adam's rib was taken. So like you supposed to be subservient to him. You're a part of him. You're a piece of him. You're not a whole person like Lilith was. You see? So all she did wrong to get demonized for centuries was leave her husband. Think about that. She left an abusive, controlling husband. And to this day, people call her a succubus, a holy, not even holy, a demon. A succubus, a demon, a prostitute. I've heard her called all kinds of things. And when I was scared of Lilith. Let me tell you this. I was scared of Lilith. Lilith has been coming up in my cards and coming to me in different ways for, I would say, about 15 years. And I would read the card. I would listen to what she had to say. I would nod. And, most of the time it was something about shadow work or injustice or something like that. And I'd read it and be like, okay. But I was afraid of her because I was like, why is the mother of demons coming to me? Okay. And I work with angels. I'm a light worker. So I'm like, this don't match. So I would listen, but I was scared. I was scared of her. I was scared to do a meditation with her or look at her mythology or see who and what she was. And I've been through this before. I went through this with Sekhmet too. Sekhmet's energy scared me too because Sekhmet is a warrior spirit, a female warrior. And I had a lot of anger in me. And I was so afraid I would start dealing with Sekhmet and start cutting people's heads off, I thought I was going to jail messing with Sekhmet. But it didn't happen. She came in and actually helped with the anger, oddly enough. So I felt the same way about Lilith. I was scared of Lilith. I was like, the mother, the whole what? And so I stopped being scared. I went through that situation with Hannibal and I was treated really badly and I was angry, And when Lilith came to me, I was just like, okay, what's up? Like, what's up? What we gonna do? And I'm thinking maybe some revenge, some good old revenge, And I've never done that before. It's not my steez. I'm a light worker. And she was like, nah, you gonna keep your vows, but I'm gonna help you. I'm gonna help you release the hurt, because you could think about like as I was tapping into her energy, I was realizing what it was like to be alone, pregnant, by the Red Sea, giving birth in a cave by yourself. Angels, and she said the thing with the angels wasn't true, by the way, but angels coming trying to get you to come back, like I can imagine. And she told me she grieved. She talked about grief, and she said that she helps women now who are grieving, who've been wronged, injustice. And the situation with Hannibal was definitely an injustice. So she came at that time. That was in like 2023. And I was with her at that time, learned some lessons from her at that time through meditation. And then she came back, and it was like, okay, you've done some healing. Time for us to do the next thing. And then she came back. So for the past like 3 months, she's been around a lot through my meditations and my spiritual work. And she's been very helpful in those ways, healing mostly and letting go, because she talked to me about how angry and hurt she was. and has been teaching me how to let that go. So she's turned up as a mothering, nurturing spirit. I did not expect that. I thought Lilith was going to be terrifying. She was going to kick the door in or something, but she didn't. In the first meditation, I was sitting on a bench and I was doing the meditation and calling on her energy, and I felt my arm go like that. And I looked over in the meditation, and she had taken my arm and interlocked her arm with mine and laid her head on me. And she said, "Tell me what hurts." That was my first conversation with her. I had seen her cards and stuff like that in the past, but that was the first time I heard her. And I was shocked because I wasn't expecting that, I was expecting this terrifying, Elvira type. And she was like mothering. And I'm like, Lilith? Like, I didn't expect that, So, yeah, it was weird, right? So, the part about the angels I wanted to tell you. As I was going through this meditation with her, she said many things to me. And one of the things she said to me was about that situation with the angels. And I said, "The angels threaten you?" Because I've never been threatened by an angel, and I can't even imagine them threatening people. And I was like, "They threatened you?" And she was like, "No, they came and told me to go home." They came and told me Adam wanted me to come home. And I was like, "Oh, okay." And she said, "You know something?" And I'll never forget when she said this. She said the greatest hurt to her was that they lied about God. They lied about the angels. And I said, "What do you mean?" And she said, "God never left me, and neither did the angels." So she said when she left home and had a baby in the cave and all that, God was still with her. The angels were still with her. And then way that we're told the story is that they forsaked her, and she was cursed forever, and the angels chased her away. We're told these things because the story is told by who? Men. Men who are patriarchal and misogynistic. Not just nice guys, that are trying to help us out. Those kind. The kind that want us to be crushed. The kind that want us to be beneath them. Those are the men that made up these stories about Lilith. And they're the ones that told us that. So because she wouldn't do what men wanted her to do, God punished her. And she was like, "That's not what happened." She was like, "They were always with me." And I believed it immediately because I believed what she was saying to me. But then I did a reading a couple days after, I say weeks after this interaction with Lilith. And the angels, I was doing a reading about death. Some of y'all saw this. I just posted it like Saturday or something. And it was about death. And one of the things that it said is that when people are in the hellfire, the angels are still with them, still trying to get them to come to the light, still trying to get them to repent. So it made perfect sense to me that she said that. She's like, God and the angels never left me. And I was like, that makes perfect sense to me, because why would God abandon her because she left someone who was abusing and controlling her? That doesn't make sense. But it does make sense to a abusive, controlling person who wants you to give up your power. So I was like, okay, I get you. So that's my take and my experiences with Lilith. She's been here with me all this time. I do meditations with her. She ain't always like just hanging around. Like certain spirits, they'll be just kind of hanging around. She's not like that. She comes when there's something to do, when there's something to say, when I call her for a meditation, stuff like that. And she has been so empowering to me. Like seriously, I've always been a pretty womanist. I'm always the kind of woman who believes in being equal. I'm not going to look down at my partner or have my partner look up to my partner. That's not going to happen. We're going to be equal, or I'm not going to be with you. So I get that vibration. But she came in with this energy of letting go. That's what I really needed, was how to let go of anger and hurt. She was wronged and has been wronged and will continue to be wrong. People will continue to say these things about her for the rest of time, unfairly. But she was able as in her spirit energy to let that go. And she taught me about letting it go. So Lilith is not what people think. She is a very mothering type of spirit. And I just wanted to do this video because I wanted to celebrate Lilith. I wanted to tell the truth of her story. And for any of you that want to, go out there and Google her, it's lots of information. But some of it is kind of like creepy. But let me tell you, because some people truly believe that she's a demon and they try to work with her in that energy. And it's just like, I'm just like, that's not who I experience. So it is what it is. But she did tell me that she does not discriminate. She will work with anyone, any spiritual system, anyone that has a cause that she thinks is just. So if you are a Catholic and you call upon Lilith, she gonna help you. If you are a priestess of Ma'at and call upon Lilith and your situation is just, she's gonna help you. It doesn't matter if you're a Satanist or if you're an atheist. It doesn't matter. Whoever you are, if you call her with a just cause, and she's the one that determines if it's just. So if it's something like you're being abused, controlled, something like that, she's gonna help. So she said that that's the freedom. She doesn't deal with one particular spiritual system, one particular group of people. She deals with who needs her. Period. So that's the good news about love. And it's very good news. It's extremely good news. And she has been very helpful to me. And one of the things she kept telling me was, you got to speak. Get out there and talk. People need to hear what you have to say right now. And I was like, okay. All right, and this is for all of you. Any of you out there who are light workers, any of you out there that are community builders, any of you out there that care about people, any of you out there that help women and children, right now, your contributions are needed. They've always been needed, but they're needed even more, especially in certain places around the world. There's a lot of unrest, there's a lot of political crap, posturing, violence, things like that going on, people losing jobs. So if you're one of those kind of people who is, when I say light worker, a light worker is somebody who works with angels, but it's also a person who has come to spread love and light, a person who wants to help, a person who believes in that kind of vibration. And not because you want to be seen, not because you want to be, praised, but you just do it because you came to help. That is a passion, a mission of yours. And so if that is your passion, if that is your life purpose, if that is your mission, Lilith is calling upon us to do something, to help each other, to be there for each other. One of the things she told me about the cave situation was people, locals that did not know her, helped. Because remember, this is the beginning of time. And I was sitting there thinking to myself, this is the beginning of time. But where do these people come from? Because if you listen to the part of the story about Cain and Abel, when Cain was expelled from their home for killing his brother, he went to a land. If I'm not mistaken, it was a land called Nod, if I'm not mistaken. But he went to another place and took a wife. There were people there. So either in the mythology of Adam and Eve, Adam and Lilith, Cain and Abel, there was other people. We're taught in Catholic school they were the only people. And when Lilith told me about the pregnancy thing, she said locals helped her. They weren't the only people, even in that mythology. So it's really interesting when you sit and you really think about it. But the bottom line was that the whole purpose of this video is for me to tell you the truth about Lilith, the good news about Lilith, and to ask you, if you're somebody who helps people, to make sure that in whatever way that you can, that you're doing what you can right now. And that's it. Thank you for listening. And please come back soon, because I got a lot more to say. See you later.